Yeah, okay. Right, so I think it is time to start the session. We have waited for about 5 minutes more than what we are supposed to be starting at. So let me formally welcome Monica Kochar again on Math Clinic. Those who attended our first session know that she was a school teacher, taught middle school and high school for a long time. And then she realized that, as all of teachers realize, that students have fear of mathematics. And she explored the problems in her own way and found out a way out called humane maths, a set of best practices for bringing joy to the math classroom. And this is an environment which creates a balance of thinking, feeling, and moving, and hence making math more humane than as we think as more static or fixed kind of a thing. And over the years, she has also shared these strategies with the content creators, with quality announcers and trainers and publishers and some edutech startups. And she has found that all receive it very well. And in turn, she has also gained something for human maths to add up. And this is what motivates her to go on about her philosophy of teaching mathematics. So with that short introduction, let me welcome her again, and she will start her talk on math talk from K to 8. Please, Monica.
So thank you, and thank you for the people who have come. It's a Friday evening. Sometimes it's difficult.
Yeah,
so thanks
it's
for
Saturday evening.
Sorry, Saturday evening.
Yes, much more worse.
Yeah, I know.
Friday is okay. Saturday probably people think enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is it visible, the screen?
Yes.
Okay. And Soumya, I would need you in case there is any comment or anything, or if if I ask any question and there is a response, so I would need you to.
Yeah, I will also keep an eye on the chat box.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I forgot. Yeah, the that is there. So the session is Math Talk, which is one of the top strategies that is a part of humane math, which is simply getting the kids to talk maths. And since we are a small group, so I'll make it more like part of presentation, but there will be pauses when I'll ask you a question, and there will be 2 videos that we can watch. So just a sec. My screen is not moving. So this is the flow of the session. What is Math Talk? Why do we need it? How do we do it? And ending up with one classroom example. What is Math Talk? I will just show you a video.
So the first thing I'm going to ask you is just simply to write down the answer without using pen and paper.
Is it audible?
Yes.
Try not to use the traditional algorithm, but work out and write down the answer for 18 times 5.
So this lady is Jo Baller, Dr. Jo Baller, who brought this whole approach of Math Talk alive. And this is a typical question that she gives. And in a, let's say, offline workshop, I would also give it to teachers and ask them that without using the algorithm, that 5 into 8 is 30, 0 here, 3 here, 5, 1, and then 3, try and solve it. So she gave it to the students to solve, and then let's see what happens after that.
So the first thing I'm going to ask you is just simple number talks, is really thinking about how you arrived at that answer. As of course, number problems can be seen in many different ways. And it turns out that not only are students fascinated by the different methods.
So what she has done is she has given this to the kids.
So the first thing I'm going to ask.
And then I'm so sorry, there's something jumping on my keyboard. That's why the slides are moving. And then she asked the kids to respond. What she has done is she has not focused on the answer, but she has focused on the method. So this video follows with how the kids will be responding. These are children from, she's a professor in Stanford University, and this is a class with which she worked out some strategies. So these are students in college actually. So let's.
So the first thing I'm going to ask, learn a lot and hear the different
I just want to go straight to.
First, I doubled 18, getting 36. Then I doubled that, getting 72, and then I added 18 again. So that was mine.
90.
And how did you do that?
So I take 18 and I have that. 9 times 5, 45. 9 times 5, 45. Add them together, 90.
18 times 5 is 80.
How'd you get 80?
5 times 10 plus 5 times 8. No, 90.
90.
And can you just describe your method of how you got to that?
I did 9 times 10 instead of 18 times 5, because same thing.
Well, I'll do it out loud then. 18 times 5. Okay, hopefully I don't get this wrong as I'm doing it. I do 20 times 5, so 2 times 5 is 10, add a 0. 2 times 5, that'd be 100. And then minus 2 times 5 again. So that would be minus 10, that'd be 90, I think. But I might have gotten that wrong. Okay, good.
18 times 5. Okay, that's 90. Yeah.
So how did you reach that?
Honestly, I tried doing the whole 18 and then 5 under and 8 times 5. And then I realized that it's easier to just do, first of all, you are doing 8 times 5, which is 40. And then if you do the 1 times 5, which is actually 10.
So it goes on this way. So what Jo has done, she has given a question to the kids. She has asked them to solve it and give her the method. Whether the answer is correct or incorrect, her focus is to encourage the kids to give the logic of the answer. So she's getting the kids to talk about their method, and this is in a way the essence of math talk. She's not saying your answer is right. She's not saying your answer is wrong. She's just asking them, how did you get to the answer? And if children can answer this question without feeling afraid, is my answer correct? Will I be scolded? Is my answer wrong? Then that is a class which has math confidence in the kids. So this is how Jo describes math talk, that ask the kids, if you just look at these bold words, math conversation, reason, why have you chosen this method? Person A, let's say Amit in the class has solved it this way. Sarah has solved it this way. What is the difference? So basically, it's just asking questions so that the kids start talking about the reasoning behind it. This is math talk in a way. So to see math talk, that why do we need it? And the need for math talk comes from, we need to first understand, how does a human mind learn? How do we learn? If we, whenever we start, let's say I want to understand a bit about how is it that the weather keeps changing. I live in New Delhi. So why is it that the weather keeps changing? We've got every possible weather present. So how am I going to learn it? There are many ways of learning. By experiencing, I'm experiencing different weathers. I'm going to learn how the weather changes happen. So I'll have to dip into geography to learn it. By making mistakes, by doing scaffolding. But it's the blue part which impacts math talk. We learn by discussing with each other. We learn by thinking aloud. If you see people, at least I'm one of them, where we are walking and we are thinking aloud. So I start talking to myself. By belonging to a community where people are learning, by teaching others, and by sharing. So the blue part is where more than one person is involved in learning, and that is what math talk is all about. that get kids to talk to either a teacher or a peer about their learning, or it could be a parent. So some questions for everyone to ponder on, and here if there are any responses, please let me know. Is it math talk is only when the teacher is talking? Is math talk just talking? Is any talk math talk? Is it same as number talk? Is it same as talking in a language class, in an English class where kids are giving story? So these are the questions that we need to somehow keep in mind, that math talk is not just any conversation happening in the class. The intention behind is to get the kids to express their reasoning. So, for example, by and large, this will happen. This is a real story from Jo Waller. She took a class for 1 year. In fact, she teaches one class for a year to develop her program. And she asked the child, what are you working on? Most of the kids would say, I'm on exercise 2, or I'm on question 4. But if you push them a little further, can you explain to me what is the math that they are doing? And the child may say, I'm doing exponents. But then what is it that you're doing in exponents? So one of the easiest strategies is to simply ask any kid in the class, what is it that you're working on? Are you working on exercise, or are you working on a math? So this kind of a conversation gets kids to think about what they are doing. Now, any questions so far before I go to part 2? Professor Rana, is there any question?
No, there is nothing in the chat box.
Okay.
And if anybody feels like asking a question in between, please unmute your mic and you can ask if you feel you want to ask something. Is it okay?
Perfectly okay.
Yeah. So either you can write in the chat box, or you can just unmute and ask. So please go ahead.
Yeah. So how do we ensure math talk? And I'm very mindful, since I was a teacher myself, that teacher time or class time is limited. So what I'm giving you are only like a bank of ideas. And you may say, okay, out of this bank of ideas, this is working for me, and I'm going to take this to the class. So ensuring math talk is, it's again getting stuck. Wait. So there are 5 parts in ensuring math talk, and I'll send a copy of this presentation to Professor Rana if anyone wants for more ideas here. One is, if a child gives an answer, our tendency is to say right, wrong. But if you pause a bit and say, if a child, let's say, says 7 plus 4 is 10, simply repeating, did you say 7 plus 4 is 10? And that pause gets the child to think a bit. This is one move. Another is restating by students. So a child says 7 plus 5 is 13, and the teacher can ask someone else, what exactly did he say? And why do you think he said that? Apply your reasoning to someone else's reasoning. If someone's, once again, if you go back, a child says 7 plus 6 is 12, and another one says this answer is incorrect. So ask the second one, why do you think he's saying it's 12 or something else? So something like asking kids to explain the answer of someone else. So even if the answer is correct, if the question is x plus 3 is equal to 7, what is the value of x? And the answer is 4. So Amit has said answer is 4. So Sushant can be asked, how do you think he arrived at this answer? So it's, if you see, the teacher is only asking questions and coaxing the kids to give an answer. This is prompting students for further participation. If the kids are quiet in the class, the best way is to simply ask a question. and that gets the kids to answer, and using wait time. So if you see in the 5 parts, the last one kind of collects everything together, that don't be in a hurry to say your answer is right or your answer is wrong. Maybe a pause, and that pause can be 30 seconds. The pause can be 20 seconds sometimes, but get the kids to think and say, how did you get the answer? Or how did he get the answer? How did she get the answer? That is something that works well. Any questions, any thoughts here?
No, there is no response from the chat box.
Okay, I think you can just pause me if there is anything.
Yeah, sure.
So in our lessons, how do we implement Math Talk? One is ask them this kind of a question. You've given numbers and you have given, let's say, a visual. Are these both showing 5? How do you know? That's the best way to ask the kids. How do you know that both are showing 5? And if the kids say, no, one is showing 5, one is showing something else, then how do you know that it is showing? So not to be in a hurry to say your answer is right or your answer is wrong. The other is using warm up. When you are starting a class, just starting a class and asking a question, have you ever seen this? Have you ever done this? So questioning them in a way that answers can be different. So for example, before starting a class on circles, or before starting a class on rotation symmetry, or rotation at any level, you can ask, have you observed something about a fan? Have you observed it comes back to original orientation? Does it happen with another object? So some kids may say yes, some kids may say no. And then without saying right or wrong, the teacher says, okay, let's continue learning about shapes and then see what happens. There is a chat message. Yeah, Rupesh, you have a question?
You can unmute and ask.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, can I ask the question in Hindi?
Why not?
हाँ ठीक है. तो मैम बात क्या है कि मतलब जैसे अभी आपने कहा कि वेट करें या 30 सेकंड्स का वेट करें, तो देखिए डिफिकल्टी कहाँ पे होता है. मैं आपको बोलता हूँ कि क्लास में मैं मान लेता हूँ कि मैं 3 ग्रुप में मेरे क्लास में 3 ग्रुप में बच्चे रहते हैं. हाँ, एक जो काफी जानते हैं, जिनका रिस्पांस काफी स्पीड होता है, एक मेडिकोर, और एक जो एकदम नीचे कोविड के कारण उनका हालत और बुरा हो गया है. ठीक है. तो अब हम लोग तो मतलब वैसे सेंटर्स नहीं है जहाँ पे अच्छे बच्चे को एकदम अलग कर दें.
बिल्कुल.
और ठीक, हमें तो तीनों, हमें क्लास में जब पढ़ाना है तो हमें तो सबको एक साथ लेके जाना होगा.
बिल्कुल.
तो उस पॉइंट में हम किसके ऊपर कंसंट्रेट करें?
अच्छा, उस पॉइंट में क्वेश्चन बहुत अच्छा है. अगर क्लास में मल्टीपल लेवल के बच्चे हो तो उस पॉइंट में एक्चुअली जो टीचिंग स्ट्रैटेजी बेस्ट वर्कआउट करती है वो है कि आप बच्चों के आपस में पेयर्स बनाने शुरू कर दीजिए. तो मेरी क्लास में अगर ऐसे भी बच्चे थे जो क्लास के अंदर ही नहीं आते थे, इतने मैथ्स से डरते थे, और ऐसे भी बच्चे थे जो पूरा कंटेंट कर चुके होते थे. तो ऐसी क्लास में होता है कि आप पढ़ा दीजिए, उसके बाद अगर आप ग्रुप्स बना लें क्लास में और बच्चे ग्रुप्स में बैठ के पढ़ें और एक दूसरे से सीखें, तो उससे टीचर के ऊपर थोड़ा प्रेशर कम होता है और टीचर ग्रुप पे जाके देख सकते हैं. जो ग्रुप अच्छे से काम कर रहे हैं वो ठीक है, जो ग्रुप अच्छे से काम नहीं कर रहे हैं वहां पे आप फोकस दे दें. तो आप अकेले एक टीचर एक क्लास में जहां 30-40 बच्चे हैं 3 लेवल में मैनेज करना मुश्किल होता है.
ठीक है, ठीक है. तो ये ग्रुप मतलब एक अच्छा बच्चों का ग्रुप और एक मतलब जो बच्चे कंटेंट जिन्होंने पूरा कर लिया है और जिसने नहीं किया उनका ग्रुप, या ग्रुप अलग होना पड़ेगा? मतलब
आपको दोनों चीजें ट्राई करके देखना पड़ेगा क्या वर्कआउट करता है. आप ऐसे भी कर सकते हैं कि जो अच्छे हैं उनको एक ग्रुप में किया और उनको बोला आप ये काम खुद से करके देखिए, और आपका फिर फोकस पूरा कमजोर बच्चों पे हो गया. लेकिन उसमें पेरेंट्स थोड़े टाइम के बाद ऑब्जेक्ट कर सकते हैं. तो बेटर रहेगा कि अगर आप मिक्स ग्रुप्स बनाएं जिसमें एक ग्रुप अलग अलग लेवल के बच्चे हों और एक बच्चे, हर एक ग्रुप में एक बच्चे को लीडर बना दीजिए कि आपका काम है सारे बच्चे ये इंश्योर करना कि सब बच्चे प्यार से पढ़ रहे हैं.
ठीक ठीक है।
और
ओके
अगर 30 बच्चे हैं, आपने 4-4 के ग्रुप बनाए, तो 30 बच्चों पे फोकस की जगह आपका फोकस हो जाएगा 7 ग्रुप्स के ऊपर फोकस हो जाएगा, विच इज आई थिंक ईजियर टू मैनेज.
ओके मैम, ठीक है मैम, थैंक्स अ लॉट मैम.
थैंक यू. सो कमिंग बैक, वार्म अप. जब आप क्लास शुरू करते हैं, दैट इज अ ग्रेट टाइम टू डू अ लिटिल बिट ऑफ अ मैथ टॉक, आस्किंग देम अ क्वेश्चन. The other is probing questions. Anytime you are teaching math, एक ऐसा क्वेश्चन जिसमें थोड़ा सोचने की जरूरत है कि अगर टाइल्स हैं, हमें 100 टाइल्स हैं, हमें 60% ब्लू टाइल्स दिखाने हैं, क्या साइज हो सकता है, क्या करें हम इस सिचुएशन में हम क्या करें. तो जो टेक्स्ट बुक क्वेश्चन है, वट एवर क्वेश्चन यू हैव इन द टेक्स्ट बुक, इफ यू कैन चेंज इट अ लिटिल बिट and ask a probing question, and the intention here is not to get the right answer or the wrong answer. The intention is to get the kids to think for themselves. That is the other way. One of the best ways is to error analysis question, which means आप बोर्ड पे एक क्वेश्चन सॉल्व कर रहे हैं, आप जान के उसमें एक गलती कर दीजिए, and then ask the class, what do you think of my answer? And if anyone says this is not correct, why do you think this is not correct? Or you can once again take a question in the textbook and say that, can we do this? For example, volume of a cuboid is length into base into height. Can we take any face as a base? Or do we have to take this only as a base? Can we take anything, any of the edge as the height? Or do we have to take the height? What if I turn the box upside down? जिसको हम हिंदी में बोलेंगे कि आप एक क्वेश्चन में से बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस मैथ्स के निकाल सकते हैं, और बच्चों को बिना ये सोचे कि will the children be able to answer, not answer, because the point is not to get correct answer from them. The point is to get them to talk and think. So I'll show you, this is going to be a slightly long video, but before that, any questions here? One strategy, make an error. One strategy, ask a deeper, stronger question. One strategy when you're starting a class. So start a class with a question that gets kids to talk. When you're teaching, ask a probing question. This is like maybe somewhere in the middle of the class, or when you have finished a topic and you're doing problem solving, deliberately make an error in the question so that the kids will think. And best part is, if part of the class says ye answer theek hai, part of the class says ye answer theek nahi hai, that's the best time to have a little bit of a math talk. To illustrate it, I'll show you video of a classroom. This is a recent video, so they are in masks. It's a slightly longer video. It's from a school in USA. So obviously they have lots and lots of facilities which may not have. What I want at the end of the video is for everyone who's present to think of any 2 ideas that you have picked up from the video. और फिर आपको बोलना ही पड़ेगा. Pick up any 2 ideas and say, हाँ ये हम अपनी क्लास में कर सकते हैं. And it will have subtitles. So if volume is an issue, you can read.
Is there a point where you got stuck? And if so, describe specifically what confused you.
Yeah, I got stuck in the beginning because there wasn't really a story to it.
So in a sense, this part is the main thing, that when students explain their reasoning, that's the only essence of math talk. And let's just see how different teachers are doing it in different ways.
The purpose of the math interview is to really get them using that questioning language. It really strengthens the discourse between the kids.
How did you solve the rest of the problem?
Good morning, everybody. So we're conducting our math interviews today. Before I started, I would get a lot of, well, I don't know. I don't even know where to start. And now, before they call me over, they've either asked a peer, looked around to check the anchor charts, or they've written down something that they know about the problem. Each of you will be given one task. Either you'll be task A or you'll be task B. First 5 to 7 minutes of class, you work on your problem, I work on mine. We cannot help each other at all. But you don't have to have the right answer to conduct the math interview. So task A, write your partner's name on your paper, on the interview paper. Everyone has the document with the questions all laid out. With task A, you can begin interviewing task B. Now it starts out very scripted. The very first question is, when you read this problem, how did it make you feel? That question is rarely asked in math.
Did you understand what the problem was asking yourself?
And then you get into the nitty gritty.
How did you solve the rest of the problem? What steps did you take?
Okay, there's a message. What does it mean? Format of questionnaire we can give to my students to check what they want.
मतलब मैम ये जैसे अभी आपने जो दिया इससे फील हो रहा है कि एक क्वेश्चनियर है जो स्टूडेंट्स आंसर दे रहे हैं, तो ये कैसा मतलब ये क्या स्टूडेंट्स को क्या पूछा जाए, मतलब क्योंकि वहां पे हम लोग का एक्सपर्टाइज नहीं है कि एक मतलब एक प्रिंट आउट करके स्टूडेंट्स को दें तो वो फिल अप करके हम लोगों को दें, उसके बाद हम चेकआउट करके देखें कि हाँ ये यहाँ पे उन्हें प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है। तो वो क्वेश्चनियर का फॉर्मेट कैसा होगा, अगर वो आप अभी नहीं कभी भी अगर आप एक बार सेट हमें दे माने राणा सर को देंगे तो पॉसिबली वो हम लोग को दे पाएंगे, तो अगर आप ठीक है तो उस टाइप से
इस वीडियो में तो दिखेगा, लेकिन वो क्वेश्चनियर आप खुद भी बना सकते हैं। मैं आपसे पूछूंगी आप बच्चों से क्या पता करना चाहते हैं?
मतलब हाँ मतलब जैसे एक टॉपिक पढ़ाया गया तो उस मतलब वो टॉपिक जब देखिए वो जो मेडिकल और जो ग्रुप बी और ग्रुप सी के जो स्टूडेंट्स हैं मतलब उन्हें प्रॉब्लम कहाँ हो रहा है ये जानना इम्पोर्टेंट है। मतलब जब मैं उन्हें कंटेंट समझाता हूँ वो समझ नहीं पा रहे हैं, या वो फिर जब घर में जाके कर रहे हैं तो नहीं हो पा रहा है, या वो एग्जाम में रिप्रोड्यूस नहीं कर पा रहे हैं। मेरे स्टूडेंट्स थोड़े मतलब जूनियर क्लास के स्टूडेंट्स नहीं है, सीनियर क्लास के स्टूडेंट्स हैं।
कौन सी क्लास के हैं?
मेरे वो आपके 9, 10, 11, 12 के हैं।
ठीक है।
तो वहां पे वो मुझे ये बात बता पाएंगे। तो वो क्वेश्चनर का फॉर्मेट क्या होना चाहिए, मतलब मुझे एक आइडिया अच्छा लगा अभी जो मैंने देखा है क्वेश्चनियर है स्टूडेंट टिक मार्क कर रहा है, तो इसलिए मैंने आपको बोला ये वाला बात।
ठीक है, तो अभी वीडियो के बाद अगर यहाँ पे होगा तो मैं फॉर्मेट दे सकती हूँ, नहीं तो फॉर्मेट एक्चुअली बनता है कि आपको पता क्या करना है। सीनियर स्टूडेंट्स को जनरली लेफ्ट कॉलम में आप उनके जो चैप्टर है उसके सारे आउटकम्स लिख सकते हैं और या सब टॉपिक।
हाँ, हाँ।
और उसके आगे 3, क्योंकि हमारे पास इतना टाइम का अगर इशू होगा तो उसके आगे आप 3 कॉलम बना सकते हैं। अंडरस्टूड, आई एम ओके विद इट, आई हैव नॉट अंडरस्टूड।
ठीक है। हाँ।
कैन आई से समथिंग हियर?
या
कौन रजत पूछ रहा था क्या? राजेश कौन पूछ रहा था
क्वेश्चन है कि बच्चे जैसे ये इंटरव्यू में आपको वीडियो दिखाती हूँ तो वो कैसे इसका फॉर्मेट क्या होना चाहिए?
राइट, आप शायद पूछ रहे हैं कि डायग्नोस्टिक करना है मेरे को अपनी क्लास में
किया। हाँ हाँ
कि मेरी क्लास में बच्चों को कहाँ पे इस टॉपिक में कहाँ पे प्रॉब्लम आ रही है।
हाँ यस सर। हाँ
राइट, तो उसके लिए आप डायग्नोस्टिक के लिए मान लीजिए आप गिव मी सम एग्जांपल देन आई कैन गिव यू क्वेश्चंस। फॉर एग्जांपल आपको पूछना है कि वेदर आप मान लीजिए 10वीं की क्लास पढ़ा रहे हैं और आपको पूछना है, आपको पढ़ाना है कि वो डेरिवेटिव और इंक्रीजिंग डिक्रीजिंग का रिलेशन दिखाना है।
हाँ हाँ सर।
तो एक तो ये क्वेश्चन हो सकता है कि उनको इंक्रीजिंग डिक्रीजिंग की डेफिनेशन पता है कि नहीं पता है।
ओके,
दैट वुड बी क्वेश्चन। सो उसके आप तो 1-2 ग्राफ दे सकते हो। आप क्वेश्चनर बना रहे हो ना?
हाँ हाँ हाँ।
तो उसमें एक पहला क्वेश्चन होगा कि ये आपको 2 ग्राफ दिए गए हैं,
हाँ,
इनमें कौन सा इंक्रीजिंग है कौन सा डिक्रीजिंग है।
हाँ,
क्योंकि आपको ये तो बहुत छोटा सा क्वेश्चन है, जल्दी से लोग बच्चे आंसर भी कर लेंगे।
हाँ हाँ
ठीक है, और उसके बाद आप पूछ सकते हैं क्वेश्चन अगर आपको लगता है आगे जाना है और कि उनको डेरिवेटिव डिफरेंशिएबिलिटी की डेफिनेशन पता है कि नहीं पता है।
हाँ,
दैट कुड बी इशू। सो बेसिकली आई एम सेइंग कि उनको जो प्री रिक्विजिट्स हैं उस टॉपिक के लिए वो उनको आते हैं कि नहीं आते हैं। दैट इज नॉर्मली अ बिग इशू विद द स्टूडेंट्स।
हाँ 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 यस सर।
राइट. सो आपके क्वेश्चन ऐसे होने चाहिए जो छोटे हों,
हाँ हाँ
के आंसर आप क्विकली वो बता सकें कि हाँ ये होता है या ये नहीं होता है, और उससे आप डिडक्शन निकाल सकते हो कि मेरे बच्चों को ये नहीं आता है तो मैं आगे क्या पढ़ाऊंगा इसका.
ठीक है सर.
और
ठीक है
जिस बच्चों ने अच्छा आंसर ठीक से दिया है, मान लो जो बच्चे आपकी क्लास में अच्छे हैं, उनको बोल सकता है कि तुम बताओ तुमने लिखा कि ये इंक्रीजिंग है ये डिक्रीजिंग है.
ठीक है सर.
तो वो मैथ टॉक भी हो जाएगी और उससे बाकी के बच्चे जिनको नहीं पता है उनको भी पता लग जाएगा.
ठीक है सर.
और आपको पता लग जाएगा कि आपके बच्चों में प्रॉब्लम कहाँ आ रही है,
किस लेवल में है वो. ठीक है. ठीक है
ये
सर.
एक तरीका है. एक तरीका है. दूसरा तरीका है जिसमें शायद प्रिंट आउट की जरूरत भी नहीं होगी. आपके पास प्री रिक्विजिट है या आपने लेट्स से डिफरेंशियल कैलकुलस पढ़ा दिया है और आपने उनको 5 चीजें पढ़ाई हैं, ABCDE. आप बस क्लास में डायरेक्टली बच्चों से पूछ सकते हैं, मुझे ये पता करना है कितनों को कितना समझ में आया. उसके लिए आपको मेरा ये दिख रहा है थंब?
हाँ मैम दिख रहा है.
आप बच्चों को एक क्लू दे सकते हैं कि दिस इज आई हैव अंडरस्टूड वेरी वेल, दिस इज ओके एंड दिस आई हैव नॉट अंडरस्टूड. So you give them okay subtopic A and this watch thumbs up हो रहा है, ऐसे हो रहा है कि ऐसे हो रहा है. क्योंकि बहुत बार होता है बच्चे दूसरे बच्चों को बताना नहीं चाहते हैं कि हमें समझ में नहीं आया है, वो थोड़ा सीक्रेट रखना चाहते हैं. तो आप अगर वो सिर्फ थंब से भी आपको पता लग जाएगा. That is also another way of taking a questionnaire. Now if you see most of the children are doing this for any topic, that is the time to talk to the kids कि अच्छा आपको डेरिवेटिव फाइंडिंग डेरिवेटिव ऑफ x to the power n आपको समझ में नहीं आया है, तो what is the problem and then you get them to talk. Okay. So that is another way. ठीक है.
Okay ma'am.
Taking why?
I had to do line equals sign method.
And so now the kids can enumerate the things that they did.
And then I had to divide.
Once you get all of those out, you get more into the like, okay, let's get into reflective questions, okay? Have you ever seen a problem like this before?
Is there a point where you guys stuck?
There was a point where I didn't know if the 4 goes over the 36 or the 36 goes over the 4.
Did you give up or did you figure out a way to move forward?
I figured out a way to move forward.
You can go ahead and switch if you have already finished the first interview. After you interview me, if I didn't finish my problem, you can now help me. But only after the interview. Because you want the thoughts to come out as pure as possible.
What did that help you know or figure out?
So this is where the kids are interviewing each other. So it's like Professor Rana said, he has given the kids a questionnaire which is filled with questions of prerequisites or post the class, and the kids are talking to each other. I was able to do question 1. I wasn't able to do question 1. Okay, how did you do question 1? This is how you did question 1. Can I do it in a different way? And I would add here that set a time also. So tell the children for the next 10 minutes, you will be working on this and talking to each other, because kids like a very clear boundary in which to work with, and that also gives a little bit of a focus in the class. Oops, so sorry.
Is there a point where you figure out?
One thing I'm really walking around listening for is, one, are they sharing their ideas?
When they gave me the 3.5, I knew from there to what to multiply.
How did you know what to do? And then obviously I'm looking for that vocabulary of math. And then we could even say, I divided the dependent by the independent. Are you able to articulate yourself using that math language? And also, I'm just looking to see how well they are engaging each other in the interview. It's scripted and it sounds robotic at first, but after you do it so much, kids sort of internalize it. This is how I should ask a question. I shouldn't approach you and say, hey, what's your answer? That has no substance for me if I'm trying to truly learn from you. If I ask you, hey, can you explain to me how you did this? What was step number 1? Why did you do that step? So it's that constant questioning.
Did you give up?
I didn't give up because I knew the steps to take, and I took my time to do it and not give up.
So that's the beauty of the math interview.
Okay, now my question to everyone. What is the one or two things that you picked up from here which you can take back to the class? We can even say one thing. That is where generally I end the session. And post this PPT ends with a lot of resources also, and I'll send it to Professor Rana. But I would really like to know from everyone who came here, what is the one thing that you picked up from today's session? And now you will have to speak.
Yeah, you can unmute your mic, everyone, and talk.
Hello, good evening. This is Maheshwari. What I felt is, yeah, feedback is important, getting the feedback from the children, because at most of the time, yes, we just finish one chapter, we go on to the next chapter without even like, we assess them, but then still we don't realize that, okay, this is where they're really having a difficulty. We need to do certain topics once again, because of the time constraint, probably.
Yeah, that's a good one. What about others? Any one thing. आप जिंदगी में कभी भी you go to attend a workshop, it's always good to come back with one idea that you can implement in your class. Otherwise everything just fizzles out. So any one thing that you picked up here. Professor Rana, Soumya, anyone can speak.
I'm waiting for others to say something before I say.
Okay.
Hello, madam. I'm Rajesh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think after completing a unit, yeah, we can have a questionnaire where we can know from student that which topic they have understood or which they found more difficult. So
Yeah.
this thing we means I can take and I can keep getting feedback from the students.
Yeah, that's good one. Anyone else wants to share?
I think you should all say what you think is a good idea. Whether you're able to implement actually or not in your class comes much later.
Yeah.
At least you came to know about this idea from this talk on this workshop, right? So that is one of the things, because others might have, you might have observed something which others might not have. So here we are sharing also our ideas with each other.
Okay, then Professor Rana, would you like to add something? Then we can.
Yeah, I think as we thought of putting the math talk as the aim, that when students talk, they learn more.
Yeah.
That is a basic thing which I have been also trying to say. And even in the videos that you showed where teacher is trying to get something out of the students one by one, idea is whether it is peer telling other person how he or she solved something, or whether somebody alone saying that how I solved it, telling the whole class. The idea is of a math talk is basically when you talk, you don't talk randomly.
Right.
See, you always crystallize at least roughly the ideas in your mind, and then you talk.
Right.
Once you talk, your ideas get to crystallize more and more. Right?
Completely.
Yeah. So after all, mathematics is based on a language, and language is best learned by talking. There is a step of learning, which unfortunately our math class, I never experienced that till my BSc. Only in master's level, I got an opportunity to talk in a class. Otherwise, I was just sitting and taking down notes every time. So I understand teachers have constraint of time, but it's a good idea to at least spend once in a week, at least if you spend about 5 to 10 minutes on the topic you have done recently in one way or the other. Talk about, give opportunity to students to talk.
Exactly. And they can talk to each other also.
Yeah,
it can also be just for 1 minute after a topic has been taught. Tell them that you have 2 minutes, pick up a partner and talk to each other about what you understood. So I would just sum up what Professor Rana said, that talking crystallizes the learning. Role of the teacher here only would be to ask a question, and then we leave the kids on their own to answer it.
Actually, in some of the experimental classes that I took, I ask a person a question and then I tell him that you can take help from your 4 neighbors, left, right, front and back. Okay, so that way all 5 are at least talking about each other on the topic, right? They think the remaining 4 think they are helping this person, right? But in their own mind, when they are telling something, as you said, that to learn also you have to become a teacher sometimes. So when you're teaching something, you learn more. So
exactly.
That is also another component of math talk. Okay?
Yeah, it's like creating situations in the class for kids to talk. Yeah, that agree with that. So that's it. Thank you for everyone who came.
In case anybody wants, if you want more, if you have, shall I ask you math talk in something, some question in math talk?
Sorry?
I want to ask everybody a math talk question.
Oh, please do that.
Because that may, see, this is for, I think probably 5th or 6th standard, probably it will be suitable. So let me just share my screen and ask the question.
Okay.
Yeah. Share screen. Okay. And here is it visible, what I'm saying?
Yeah, but the print is very light. I can see compute the column.
It's not everything is visible. It will be visible in steps.
Yeah, it's visible.
So this is the class which is to encourage students to do something, even if they are not very competent. They are allowed to use calculators if they want. So for this class, students are allowed to use calculators. Many may object, oh, that is not good. But anyway, so compute the following. So everybody, the participants, okay, the answer would be, surely the answer would be 19, right? Now here is the question I will pose is the following. You are allowed to use these 4 digits 1, 9, 6 and 3. Okay, here I have used plus 3 times, but you are allowed to use plus, minus, multiplication and division. But I don't want the answer to be 19, I want the answer to be 3. So I want, for example, here is one possibility. Now I leave it to the class that all of you try. Okay. All of you try using numbers 1, 9, 6, 3, all have to be used and only once. Okay. But you can allow to use plus, minus, multiplication and division as many times as you like. And get the answer as 3. So this is one possibility. Do you think there is other possibility? So here is, I allow them to talk to each other. I allow them to use calculators. Okay. So a lot of noise is there in the class. So I don't know how many are there in the, okay. Okay. So in the participants, can somebody give an answer in the chat box? One possibility. Where is the chat box gone? Here is the chat. Right. Write your answer in the chat box, like 3 equal. So this is the answer. Okay. I want 3 to be written in some different way, possibly. But using just one person answer and then I will stop. Then I will initiate some talk if possible. No? Nobody has an answer?
No, no one has answered.
Yeah, I'm just asking, represent 3 as some difference multiplication division of 1963. 9 multiplied by 1 divided by 6 minus 3. Good. Everybody can see that answer? What Raut wrote? 9 multiplied by 1 divided by bracket 6 minus 3. So 6 minus 3 is. So now what I will do is I ask a student to say that whether this answer is correct or not, right? If yes, how it is correct? Why it is correct? So let me stop. This is about half an hour of exercise. One can do it. So let me stop here and stop sharing because people may have questions to ask. Okay. You see, this also tells the students that it's not necessary that there should be a unique answer for a question. Right?
Yeah, that is a very good point to have a math talk. This is very true.
Yeah. So I'll say, here I'm giving the answer as 3. I want you to frame the question. Okay. So here everything they have learned about BODMAS rules and all such things will be revised, 1. And they'll talk to each other. उसने ये किया, मैंने ये किया, उसने ऐसे किया, मैंने ऐसे किया. और इसको बहुत आगे तक ले जा सकते हैं इस तरह की एक्सरसाइज को. Anyway, so I think if anybody else has a question or a suggestion or a doubt to ask Monica, or about the as such, your own ideas, if you want to share, please unmute and do it before I formally thank Monica.
Sir?
Yes?
Sir, we can also use 6 minus 9 divided by 3 divided by 1.
You can do that. See, that's what I'm saying. If you don't have anybody to check your answer, you can use calculator. Because I want everybody to try, right? All students to try and try to solve. So at least they will start looking at the ways of solving a problem. Some students may not be good at multiplication, division and such things. So I don't want to hinder their thinking by saying that, okay, you can't try this problem at all. Surely.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody else would like to about the math talk? Have you tried math talk in your class earlier? If yes, what was your way of doing it? You can share that if you like.
Sir, I want to ask one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
When we teach to first year BCom student, in a class there are like 80 students.
Okay.
Generally, we don't allow them to talk because
you don't have what?
We don't allow them to talk because there are more students, and if they start talking or doing,
principal will come running.
Yeah.
So तुम्हारी क्लास में क्या हो रहा है?
Yeah.
इतना शोर क्यों है? I love that actually. More noise in my class means the students are doing something. Anyway.
Okay.
Question क्या है आपका?
Yeah. So my question is, when a number of students are more in the class,
right?
Is how we should means how we can allow them to talk, and still the things will be like they will be learning.
Yeah. Monica, you want to respond or?
Yeah. So, like I answered before, when you have a lot of kids, there is only one thing you can do, which is to create groups in the class and give them a time limit. So tell them I'm giving you 5 minutes and there is this very small question that I want you to solve and discuss with each other. Having kids, 80 kids together and one teacher managing, I don't think that works, at least unless, I don't know, I've met only one teacher in my life who teaches class of 50 and he said that he has a very good grip on all 50 kids. But for a fruitful experience, it might be better to have groups in the class created by you and giving them a very specific task with a very specific time. In fact, you can turn it into a competition and say the group that does first, maybe you'll give them something to chocolate or maybe 5 minutes free, or there is some incentive at the end of it. Then it works well. Other than that, it's always risky. Principal will come running.
Thank you.
Your idea is very good. That's what I tried once I went to some place called Maharashtra, some school in Maharashtra, and there they wanted me to do something with them. So this question about this answer 3 coming, like it was a class of around 55 or so. So I made 3 groups, okay, randomly, and said the same thing that you are suggesting, that whichever group wants to answer this question first will raise the hand. But then I made a condition that I will ask a person in that group. The person who has raised the hand is not the one who is going to speak. I can ask anyone in the group to explain. So that made a real constraint to them, because everybody has to understand and know how to talk. So that is one way one can, Rajesh, this was a question you asked.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, if you make a group of say 10 each, 5 groups are there, right? And you try your diagnostic in that, but put that condition that not the brightest student of each group will answer the same question again and again, kind of, you know. Give everybody an opportunity to talk and put a constraint that you will ask the person in the group who will talk and give the answer. But,
okay, sir. Understood. Okay.
But the group can discuss and come to a common answer. So that is one way of.
Yeah. And this is very important what Professor Anna just said. I would like to second that normally when kids work in a group, everybody knows the brightest kid will answer. But you tell the kids that मैं किसी से भी पूछ सकता हूँ. I can ask anyone in your group the answer. It can also come as a quiz, which then leads to a competition, and ask anyone randomly. So that ensures the group will take care of each other. They will ensure that everybody has understood. That's at least my personal experience is also like that.
Okay, madam.
Anybody else has a question to ask or an experience to share? I think it's time to formally thank Monica for coming over, and even though we had a small group, but I think there was a meaningful discussion we had in the group, and this was all because of Monica sharing the ideas. Thank you, Monica, for your coming over and sharing your ideas. And
no, thank you, Professor Anna, and I agree. The group was small but very meaningful. Yeah. And the advantage of even having a small group of teachers is that, like the teacher teaching 80 kids, one teacher, I always feel one teacher takes one idea from a workshop, it's like hundreds of kids will be impacted. So thank you. Thanks, Professor Anna, for adding your thoughts also to the session.
Soumya, would you like to add something?
No, sir. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Ms. Monica.
Yeah.
Thanks. So may I leave?
Yeah, please. Everybody, everybody take care and be safe.
Yeah, and I'll send you a link to the PPT, which you can share with the participants.
Yeah, anybody wants, please mail me. I will share the link. Thank you.
Okay.